Greetings, everybody, and welcome to the Valenta Inside Series webinar. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Howard Barouxis, and I'm a managing director with Valenta. I'm located in Miami, Florida, and I'm looking after the southeastern US. The title of our webinar today is The Art of the Possible, Leveraging Conversational AI to Accelerate Growth. It is a very ambitious title, so ambitious I could barely say it. But what we're going to talk about today is conversational AI, what it is, who's using it, and who could use it. And joining us today is Paul McGann. He is an SVP with OneReach.ai, and OneReach is Valenta's go-to partner for conversational AI. Paul, would you like to introduce yourself, maybe say a few words?
Thanks, Howard. I would. It is an ambitious title, and dare I say, easy for you to say. But yeah, the art of the possible, guys. It's a real passion for us here at OneReach. I'm delighted, guys, to be joining and meeting you all this afternoon. My title is International SVP for the business, based out of, I have to say, sunny, but dare I say, sweltering southeast of England. I'm in the Surrey Hills. Delighted to be here. And my remit as International SVP is to establish and launch the business across EMEA. We're pretty much established, as some of you may be aware, in the US, but we're establishing and growing rapidly across the EMEA region. Thanks, Howard.
Great, thanks, Paul. Sounds like you're getting some Miami weather over there in the UK.
I tell you, forgive the fluorescent brow or the it's hot. It's a hot one.
All right. Well, look, in our prep calls, I know we're going to have a pretty decent call, and get to know a little bit more about conversational AI today. Maybe we could start at the beginning, and if you could tell us a little bit about OneReach, and I think when you describe it, people will understand why you guys are our go-to partner for conversational AI at Valenta.
Brilliant. I'd be delighted to, Howard. Delighted to. So OneReach.ai, or if I may more specifically, the Communication Studio 2.0. So you'll notice that if you go onto our website. In fact, it's a multi-award winning rapid experience and engagement platform for conversational AI and hyperautomation. Guys, a lot of jargon, a lot of big concepts and words here, but let me try and clarify this further. OneReach is a no-code, low-code, rapid application development platform for creating conversational experiences and task automation powered by various forms of AI. So I should stress, guys, as a development platform, it's not a pointed solution. In fact, we talk about democratizing access to AI and rapid application development. And as such, this empowers our end users, our clients, our customers to develop and scale their own solutions to customer experiences and process optimization solutions. And essentially, and how, if I may share some of the core mission and passion of the business, we talk about transforming every job in every company. So Howard, I hope that gives a bit of a flavor of what and who we are here at OneReach.
No, it certainly does, Paul. Thank you for that answer. And, based on what you said, I mean, we've definitely found that no-code, low-code solutions really help to kind of bring the bottom up. And, once you introduce conversational AI to a company with no-code, low-code solutions, the companies start to find more applications themselves. To move on from that question, Paul, could you tell us a little bit about how conversational AI can solve some business challenges that many businesses face?
Yeah. There are many benefits that conversational AI in general can deliver, but they can be distilled down to the following. Platforms such as OneReach, conversational AI platforms such as OneReach, enable the deployment of, essentially we're talking about customer engagement and experience delivery together with optimizing business process through this concept of hyperautomation, which we'll go into in a bit more. But and what we're saying here is enabling by enabling this seamless development and this dynamic scaling, Howard. It's important that we get this across. So it's seamless development through the organization, dynamically scaling user and even employee engagement is a massive growth area, and process automation. And this will unleash powerful results from our experience. So we're talking about enhanced user employee experience, reducing the cost to serve customers, maximizing task processing efficiency, and this optimizing resource allocation. So, and if I may, Howard, just picking up on that point in relation to optimization of resources. As a business, we advocate, in fact, that automation is really about augmenting and not replacing the human. Particularly one of the features of the platform, key features for us is what we call human in the loop. And that enables the machine and the humans to work together seamlessly. And that's allowing staff, so your resources, to assign lower value tasks to their bot while managing higher value tasks themselves. So that's where the augmentation comes in. And as such, supercharging your teams. And effectively, Howard, I'd like to get across the concept of, in effect, it's IA, intelligent augmentation, not AI.
Interesting, Paul. No, I like that perspective. And I think a lot of people miss the point that AI is really about making humans better, not replacing humans, enhancing the working experience, allowing people to work more on what they really need to focus on. I mean, at Valenta, we're all about that in terms of the digital transformation we do, the virtual staffing that we provide. It's really about trying to help companies focus on what their core mission is. And I think AI can really help with that. Anyways, all of that sounds great, and I really love the supercharging. Supercharging sounds super exciting. Paul, can you tell us now a little bit about what types of companies are using conversational AI? Maybe you can list some companies or some specific market verticals that are really leveraging this technology now.
Of course, yeah. Actually, as you might appreciate, we're very proud of the fact that, as a testament to the quality of our platform and the credibility of the business, we're trusted by a wide range of clients. And in fact, we love it. And this is over many years since our incorporation. But given the expansive scope, and maybe we'll touch a bit more around that, but the expansive scope of the platform, we can support a wide range of customers across a number of sectors and solutions. And I would just be a bit more specific whilst keeping this top level for now. But these sectors include, and if I may highlight some examples, no particular order and not necessarily exhaustive, but automotive, financial and banking, retail and consumer goods, BPO and customer services, key area consideration for ourselves, healthcare, HR providers, telecoms and utility suppliers, and one of the considerations in terms of growth areas, logistics, traditional focus across conversational AI, travel organizations, IT managed services. I could go on, but right through to public sector and charity organizations. So as you can see, there's quite a long list here of those who really could benefit from platforms such as OneReach.
Well, I mean, you hit a lot of market verticals that we focus on, that our managing partners have, specific practices around. So, I mean, it's great to hear. It's actually no surprise, because that's why we're working with you, because we're deploying solutions in some of these very same market verticals. Paul, now that you've kind of walked us through the industries that are using it now, could you kind of walk us through some of the use cases and the way some of these companies are using conversational AI?
Of course. So with that, let me expand on the last point, and very much in line again with this credibility and longevity of the business. So when I say longevity, Howard, I should stress in relative terms, this is a very young industry. Conversational AI as a concept is pretty young, particularly compared to traditional RPA, which is 25, 30 years and some. But as a business, we're 10 years plus. So as we're evolving and expanding our strategies with clients, current and new, we have a wealth of expertise, I'm delighted to say, across a wide range of solutions. So again, let me share some summary examples based on specific use case applications, and happy to dig into more as we go. But customer service, contact centers in general, as no doubt, folks, you'll appreciate that's a massive area. Public service alert notifications, very interesting. How we're working with the Washington, D.C. Council, where there's public service alerts, and or whether it be potholes and so on the road, but SMS alerting on notifications, patient healthcare triage and scheduling service. Delighted to say we're working with one of the largest healthcare providers worldwide, and we're managing. Here in the UK, there's a huge backlog of scheduling and management of patient care, and we're actively involved with that. Breakdown helpline, Howard, we're very proud of the fact that nearly 60% of all the breakdown services, white label services in the US, have been managed through the platform. In fact, Howard, nearly 750,000 calls per day has been handled through the platform. HR onboarding, employee satisfaction surveys is a particular project that I'm working on myself, actually, but huge growth area. As we're talking about the post-COVID and the hybrid type office, HR onboarding and EX, employee experience, is actually huge for us. Logistics track and trace, ITSM ticket, and chase ticket closing hard is one area we talk about, where using conversational AI, so effectively a bot not only logs a ticket, which is very traditional, but then follows through and close that down, saving time and money. Telecoms and utility, we're talking about fault query resolution. So essentially a lot of the fault lines, say on telephone, broadband, so there's a certain amount of that can be managed through automation, and then escalating through this human in the loop, if you may recall, the process. And finally, I would, if I may, the financial assurance service, and balance inquiries, payment handling, really a growth area for us. So again, Howard, hope that gives you a flavor, but a lot of very interesting use cases and huge growth opportunity.
Oh, Paul, that's great. I mean, that's a ton of use cases, and you can see how conversational AI is really relevant in so many different industries. And you guys must be incredibly proud of the fact that 60% of the breakdowns in the U.S. are handled by your technology. That's really cool. So,
and I would add, if I may, it's for folks who are sitting there going, "My God, that's I need to be huge to start." We don't. We started with one single IVR with this particular organization 4 or 5 years ago. One IVR line, handling tens of calls. As we evolve and develop the strategy, you can see how it can get to. Yeah.
very cool. All right, so we've talked about what markets, what market verticals, what industries are using it, the plethora of the use cases that are out there. Let's kind of flip it around. What companies aren't really utilizing conversational AI to their full potential now? Where is it underutilized, and or maybe where are some of the growth areas you see? Take any one of those three parts of the question, and go answer all three of them, 2 for 3, whatever you like.
One of the above.
Yeah, one of the above would be good.
I'm free falling at this point.
Right.
Actually, Howard, that's a really intriguing question. I, as you might appreciate, folks, I do a fair amount of these, but this is a really intriguing question. And if I may, let me look at addressing this through a number of steps. So in the first instance, it's important that we understand that the core underlying principles of automation, and again, forgive me for being very basic here, guys, but any repetitive or predictive task, I should say, can be automated. If it's not, it can't be. So with that in mind, this factor, and given the expansive scope that we've alluded to on the platform, means, to be honest, there isn't really any organization who couldn't use the platform to automate their business. In fact, Howard, we like to use a bit of jargon here in terms of, we refer to it as creating self-driving companies. So you're aware of Google et al. Creating self-driving cars. Through OneReach, you can create your own self-driving company. But there isn't really any organization that couldn't do it, is what we're saying. However, what I would say is, based on our experience, it is very obvious that there are some sectors that are more prolific than others in terms of embracing automation, and in particular, this next generation AI using conversational intelligence, some of which I've alluded to in some of the samples. So with that, sectors such as financial services, healthcare, telecoms and utility providers, they have been very focused over a number of years on traditional RPA strategies. That said, Howard, and let me kind of pull it all together. In summary, what I would say, there's definitely change. There's definitely change in the horizon, and rapidly so over the last year or so. And this is especially evident in the likes of your telecoms and utilities and your healthcare providers. There are two key areas, following next with your financial services. Whether it's clear that the challenges presented by COVID has created a real impetus towards conversational AI. And we're talking here about maintaining customer experience, realigning, obviously with the impact of COVID, realigning workforce engagement, improving operational costs. Key factors, as you'd appreciate. So hopefully, Howard, that gives you a flavor of the types of orgs that could start engaging more.
A lot of good points there. I was scrambling to find something to write on, to write down some follow-up questions, but I didn't get to them in time. But I remember, the self-driving companies, I really like that phrase.
Yeah,
for sure. I mean, and that's the way people, I think, need to think about it. And then one thing that we constantly talk about at Valenta is repetitive rule-based tasks. Anything like that can be automated. Anything like that can be automated with conversational AI, RPAs, et cetera. But really, we're looking constantly for those types of functions within businesses so we can optimize our companies, our clients' businesses. So yeah, thanks for that. So, I mean, a lot of good points so far, Paul, but maybe we should shift the conversation to how do you get started introducing conversational AI? Like, what does a company do to get started?
Yeah, I would often ask that, as you'd appreciate, as people start considering this. As I say, things are really changing in the last year or so. So loads of questions, loads of times sitting down, people saying, okay, how do we start? And this very much aligns to one of our core philosophies, and that is think big, start small, and scale rapidly. But essentially, start small. And I just can't overemphasize that, Aaron. We recommend you start with a very specific and well-defined use case with clear business outcomes or KPIs, whatever your yardstick is, and however traditional, and maybe your age, give it away here. But and there are a couple of reasons behind this. There are tons of use cases, guys. I've given you a flavor. Help, IT help desk, HR, EX, onboarding, employee surveys, finance processing, billing payments, credit. I could go on, but it's important that you don't overreach, and otherwise you might lose track and of results and extra returns. And that's where this all gets very confusing and into this muddy, murky world. So keep it very specific. Focus on a specific project. And Howard, you talked about rules and processes, but identify specific sets of rules and skills, as we would talk about it in conversational AI. So the rules and skills. So, and that way that you can learn how the capabilities of platforms like ours work, and you can build your internal expertise before then expanding out and developing your strategy, both internally across your internal operations and externally as you start engaging your customers. And Howard, if I may finally just wrap this point by highlighting, it's important for us that we point out that one of the key tenets of the success of our dedicated partnership with Valenta is the fact that we focus around consulting through Valenta with our clients and supporting them, not only in terms of getting up and running and integrated, but as they look, more importantly for us, as they look to expand and develop out their automation strategy.
Thanks, Paul. That's some great perspective, and clearly we, Valenta, we have the same perspective, and we're constantly telling people to start small with these projects, scale rapidly once they kind of get their feet wet, kind of let it proliferate throughout their organizations. And really, I mean, I don't know, I saw it on a bumper sticker or a meme somewhere, but, I've always heard the most important step is the first step. And, it doesn't need to be a big step. It just needs to be a step in the right direction.
Actually, how I pick it up on that, we would say, make it a small step.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Yeah. Good. All right, Paul. Let me ask you kind of loaded and maybe a leading question here. Could you talk to us about how AI and RPA work together, and what is hyper automation? Kind of like the peanut butter and chocolate make this, kind of answer. I don't know, but go for it. AI, RPA working together, and what is hyper automation?
All right, I know that through our partnership, we very much enjoy working together, but you have chicken meat pink with your peanut butter and your chocolate meat or whatever.
I mean, peanut butter is kind of an American thing, so I'm sorry.
It is. I was waiting for the jelly to come with it, but no. Yeah, in reply to this particular question, and this is a real important question. Let me just to help. Let me share some insight from a market analyst, a conversational AI market analyst that we actually work with. So this analyst recently told our team, as per definition, hyper automation, to use this jargon, is just automation done right. Yeah, and we very much agree with that, very much. But there is a but. To do the things right, you've got to solve some hard problems. And folks, this is where I would put it out. There's a lot of. This is where there's a real challenge. These hard problems are not easily overcome, and many of the suppliers out there struggle with this. I'm talking things like multi-bot orchestration. Sorry, guys, a bit technical maybe, but multi-bot orchestration, session management control across channels, etc. We've got to get those right. The same analyst group actually, Howard, so they suggest that conversational AI actually is a keystone. And as we move forward as the next generation conversational AI, is the keystone to high-performing automation practice. So since it makes automation available potentially to everyone in across an organization. Traditionally, guys, automation has been very much the realm of developers and experts, not so the likes of OneReach and conversation platforms. So whilst that's good news in one respect, it does actually mean, as far as we're concerned, we think the lines between conversational AI and RPA are going to blur even more than they are today. But let me just add the one big mistake, Howard, and let me just kind of encapsulate some of these points for people to get their head around. One big mistake many companies make is trying to tie natural language understanding, NLU, or natural language processing, NLP, into RPA, rather than actually using systems that inextricably combine conversational experiences with process automation. And that helps create, or that actually creates, virtual assistants or digital workers, as we call them, that can perform tasks end to end. So Howard, there's a lot in that, but we're talking about basically understanding the dynamism that RPA, that conversational AI will add by driving together the experiences, the conversational experience with process automation.
All right, Paul. No, thanks for that. Digital workers, I think that's really key. And again, coming back to the theme of making humans more efficient, keeping humans in the loop, all of that. All right.
Exactly.
Now, how about another loaded and maybe leading question here? Why don't you tell me if OneReach and, Valenta by proxy offers virtual enterprise assistants, or IDWs, intelligent digital workers?
Yeah, I love it. Load them up all you like. These are cool questions. More importantly, and it's a serious question, Howard. This very much aligns again to one of our core principles as an organization, and pretty much why I think our partnership really kicked off, Howard. It really is about going beyond just simple chatbots, simple IVR, simple RPA. These are all good in themselves, but they're very flat. But going beyond that is where we focus, and we want to lead our customers on a journey towards developing these intelligent digital workers or virtual assistants. There's a bit of jargon going around, and forgive us for our bit of jargon, but virtual assistants. At this point, I think it'll be valuable, Howard, to share and clarify, if I can, the hierarchy and the difference between a chatbot and a virtual agent, which is kind of a medium line, and ultimately a virtual assistant, or IDW. We'll all be aware, guys. In fact, Howard, we hate the term chatbot. It really is a misnomer. It's commonly used. It misrepresents really what it's all about, frankly. But a chatbot, as people mostly refer to, is an entry-level basic FAQ function with no intelligence. So it's for those of us of a certain ilk or age, dare I say, we're looking back to your FAQ page on the back of a website. That's what we're talking about. And we create a lot of failure and a lot of frustration for those who have used them or tried to use them. They don't scale at all. As a next level, your virtual agent, and whilst this capability is it's still just reactive, it does have a level of capability and flexibility around domains and channels. And that's, just to be clear, Howard, mostly single channel in isolation. However, the virtual assistant, this is the pinnacle. This is with proactive and reactive capability, omni-channel, and full use of AI and data-driven decisioning and task completion. So as such, you've got your basic chatbot right through to your virtual assistant, and that's where, obviously that's where we're focusing on. But I would add, Howard, is one of the key learnings based on our experience over the years, and the message we love to share and get out into the marketplace, is the tools to create chatbots cannot create virtual agents or assistants. And really, organizations should future-proof the decision by starting with conversation platforms, such as OneReach, obviously, but any conversation platform. As such, in this respect, Howard, and here we go with one of our little phrases again, but hopefully it'll help people get, put their head around it. But in this respect, we recommend that customers really start looking at your next hire should be an intelligent digital worker.
Yeah, I agree, Paul. And I think that, when you say that, it really, you got to kind of bring it back to, it's to make the humans better. And you want to have that next hire be a digital worker so you can spend more money on a higher value human to do, something that's more critical to your business and offload that repetitive rules-based tasks that could be done by a well-trained virtual assistant. So thank you also for that hierarchy. That was very helpful. Let's stay kind of, a little bit more technical and be specific about the virtual assistants. Can you talk to us about what kind of languages the virtual assistants support?
Yeah, okay. And if I may very specifically focus in on OneReach, there is a huge discrepancy in the platforms in the marketplace. But firstly, just before I jump into summarizing the answer, I would highlight that in terms of language, let me point out language support is dependent on the channel, i.e. text or voice. So with voice support, you need to consider the likes of speech recognition versus text to speech. So I won't go into in much detail there, Howard, but that's a critical consideration customers need to think about. But in summary, as a platform, OneReach, we provide the widest range of language support possible. Now, big statement, but this is achieved insofar as we use all available third-party tools. And I'm talking about Google, Bing, Amazon services, and thereby supporting over 200 plus languages. We can also facilitate specific applications for regional and dialect considerations. So as companies start to evolve their engagement strategy, additional third-party services can be pulled in to really pull in this language capability.
All right, thanks for that. Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. And, actually, just a bit of housekeeping. I was a very bad host when we started. I was so excited to talk to you, Paul. I forgot to tell our audience that if they wanted to ask questions, they could put them in the chat. So feel free to do that, but we're going to keep going, and we're going to answer questions at the end. So, going back to your answer there, Paul, I mean, you talked a lot about third-party companies and languages and stuff like that. And could you tell us a bit, kind of staying on that theme, can you tell us a little bit about CRM integrations and how you facilitate custom integrations? I know personally, I mean, that's where Valenta adds a lot of value in these types of solutions, but, could you talk about, CRM and other types of integrations?
Of course. And so very much in keeping with the platform specific questions, Howard, and based on the flexibility again, and just to stress that point of the platform, we can pretty much integrate via APIs to a wide range of CRMs. And I'm talking about including the likes of Salesforce, Microsoft Dynamics, SAP. Guys, I'm sure you're pretty much your standard suite of hybrid or market oriented CRMs. And I would stress that many of such integrations are already pre-built on the platform. So they're, as part of the suite of libraries and templates, they're just literally drag and drop, hence supporting with the speed and flexibility in the application, design and deployment on the platform. So outside of these standard products in the marketplace, Howard, we can also facilitate custom integrations via RESTful APIs. And then, I would also highlight, and again, it's a real point of differentiation for the OneReach proposition is based on the power of the partnership with Valenta. We can also support clients to manage the setup and integration of bespoke and legacy systems, which can be a real challenge for some of the more traditional organizations that maybe aren't cloud and API first. So that partnership with Valenta becomes crucial at this point.
Great, thanks for that. And yeah, again, I mean, I can't stress enough. I mean, I think that's one of our biggest value adds in terms of our partnership and why people work with us, with you, and the value that we can add to end customers. Kind of staying on the same theme, could you talk to us about communication channels that the platform supports, and maybe throw in one of my other favorite buzzwords, omni-channel, in the answer, and kind of talk about that?
I love these buzzwords, Howard, that,
We should do like buzzword bingo at the end or something like that.
What we should be doing is banning ourselves from using buzzwords and try and find an alternative. But those of us I'm BPO for 25, 30 years myself. 25, 30 years ago, it was IVR. Everything was IVR. 10 years ago, omni-channel, and now it's AI. But in terms of communication channels, let me address that by sharing a backdrop as a support to this question. It's clear that technology is advancing faster than most companies can actually move, Howard. Gartner are talking about the fact that there is many applications being built in the current 25-year period up to 2023 as has been built in the previous 40 years. So just try and get your head around that. That's how rapid things are changing. We see this as a race, and with the right tech, companies can create that real competitive advantage. And particularly, again, according to Gartner, where conversation is the next user interface that you must support. So with the evolution of interfaces to conversational, a full range of channels is not just table stakes, it's now crucial to assure that competitive edge. And how do we offer a truly omni-channel capability? And in fact, we talk about 4 channels: voice, messaging, collaboration, and IoT. When I say voice, I'm talking about phone, your mobile, I'm talking about Alexa, Google Home, etc. Messaging, again, not to be exhaustive, but SMS, WhatsApp, Facebook Messenger, Viber, Instagram, Twitter. For those a bit younger, TikTok. We're actually looking at integrating some projects on e-com type projects with TikTok, but I say younger, not being prejudiced in any way. Collaboration tools, Slack, MS Teams, rich web chat. I would highlight one of the rich, no pun intended, huge capability in terms of engagement and use of data through rich web chat. IoT, automation and orchestration across all connected devices. I would add, Howard, and again, it's pulling it together. So we're offering these full omni-channel capability with the multi-channel store and state capability. Now, what I mean by that is that allows us to maintain content and context of a communication and channel pivot. So from one channel to another, as per the user preference. So it's all about making sure that we're delivering solutions as per the user requirement. And that's what differentiates really the OneReach, one of the many areas that differentiates the OneReach proposition in terms of communication channels.
That's a lot of communication channels that are handled. I can't think of any that you really missed. So good to know and glad to hear it.
Cool.
I think the next question I'd like to ask is, could you describe how the platform is deployed? I'm actually like, where is the platform deployed? Is it, can you do shared systems? Can you deploy it on-prem, in the cloud? I know our viewers are going to have these kinds of questions, and everyone always asks that.
Cool. Okay. Without getting overly technical, I'm no tech expert, so apologies in advance to those that are maybe more technically oriented, but let me try and give a summary. As a cloud and API first business, we deploy our solutions to a private dedicated environment, or PDE, in a dedicated Amazon Web Services account. We also have some options around the use of multi-tenant shared environment, or SMTs, where there's logical separation on sub-accounts that can be managed on our client's dedicated PDE. So a client could have a private dedicated environment with many shared environments across either the different clients or different departments or whatever. So it gives a huge flexibility to our customers.
Okay, no, thanks for that. And I think you're underselling yourself in terms of being able to talk about this stuff. I mean, we're getting a lot of good knowledge here. That's great. And Paul, nobody's expecting you to set these systems up. And certainly, I'm not going to. And I got a lot of smart people that can help get these systems installed and platforms installed as well. Kind of as a follow-up question to that, can you talk to us about, can the platform be deployed in multiple geographies? And if yes, like how do you pick the regions? Maybe talk about that multi-geo aspect of the platform.
Yeah, it's a simple, straightforward yes. The platform can be deployed in multiple regions. Our customers can have one or more, as many, frankly, as they want, one or more private dedicated environments, and which can be deployed in one or more geographic regions that they can choose for themselves. So just for people to get an appreciation, if there's an AWS hosting capability in the country, and there are hundreds, as you'll appreciate, they can choose for themselves as per their preference. And this allows us to offer high availability and, frankly, more importantly, I would argue, accommodate regional laws and regulations according to data residency rules. Crucial. And particularly, guys, for those of you in the US, versus say Europe, your GDPR regulations, it's crucial that data residency rules are being adhered to as part of our security and compliance factors.
Okay. All right, that's great, Paul. We're coming into the home stretch. We've only got a couple questions more that I pre-prepared, and then we'll get into some, audience questions. So, my second to last question would be, what recommendations do you have for, companies or people to learn more about the
Yeah.
market and getting started with conversational AI?
Crucial consideration, Howard, and yeah, and let me cover it very succinctly for people. It's crucial, and from our perspective, it requires a totally shift of mind, or mind shift even. But bake-offs or POCs, proof of concepts, or a concept that we'd love to introduce or have been introducing is proof of use, POU. These bake-offs or POUs, these are the new RFPs. Any more acronyms you like, I can throw them at you. But we would strongly recommend, and for goodness sake, for all concerned, don't start with writing an RFP, please. It really is a tough one. Start by identifying some key vendors that seem to be saying the right kind of things. Low code, human in the loop, etc. Then actually build something with them. It's amazing how the number of organizations go through all this process and they don't actually build anything. Don't settle for the slide decks and the pre-built demos. You should prioritize, and this is really our key point here. You should prioritize watching organizations build solutions. So when we talk rapid application development, when we talk about user ease of use and all that kind of, well, actually co-create and this POU concept. We love to work with clients. So, well, let's build it together. And that really is the only way to form an educated opinion as to who's right for you. Of course, the due diligence behind it, but that's the only way in our mind, Howard.
No, that's a good answer. And, I have been to a lot of bake-offs in my life, so love them and always valuable. POCs, POUs, prefer those guys more. But yeah, and I think it goes back to, start small, scale rapidly, start with a defined project, do a POU, get going and learn something. We find a lot with our customers that, maybe we'll get an idea for a POU or a POC from management. We go in there, we start to talk to the users, and then quickly the users bubble up, more ideas in terms of like how they want to use the system. We add that to the next iteration of the POU, POC. Pretty soon people are, deploying great technology.
Absolutely.
Okay, Paul, last loaded question, and I expect Valenta to be included in the answer here, okay? Are platform demos available?
Absolutely. Uh, and a serious point, picking up on the point of the bake-offs and POUs, proof of use, deep dive demos, proof of technology, let's not talk it, guys. Let's show it. Let's test it. They're core to our sales process. We love, if we can organize and engage people directly, we'd love to set up exploratory calls together, Howard and I, to go through, what are you trying to achieve and agree a plan on how best to progress it. But that's cool. That's pretty much core to our proposition, to be honest, Howard.
All right, Paul, thanks. Let's go rapid fire here. I see some anonymous questions. I see a couple in the public chat. I'll start with some of the anonymous ones first, and kind of staying on the techie theme. Could you describe how the solution handles security? Can you talk about encryption? Can you talk about VPN? Maybe some accreditations of the platform, those kinds of techie things?
Gotcha. Again, short and sweet, if I may, keeping it on a high level. Of, our private dedicated environment, it can have an encrypted VPN, and a key message. And bear in mind the partnership again. We can very much deliver per customer requirement. That's a huge point that we really need to get across here. The platform is very powerful in itself, but its integration can be customer oriented, very customer oriented. And we're talking about configuring, including the likes of networking, addressing in line with the specific requirements again, and an implementation of tight security encrypt where possible, and that's either at rest or using logs. Picking up your point, Aaron, it's crucial. It's as table stakes. We're fully certified under SOC 2 Type 2, and that's in terms of a PaaS or platform as a service proposition. This is the core capability. Got level 1 and level 2. We've achieved level 2, and that's data and financial compliance. And for those who may not be aware of SOC 2, it's aligned to ISO 27001, and it's supported by our security and risk analysis procedures.
Okay, thanks for that. Another question I got was, What are some of the most common obstacles to creating a successful conversational experience?
That's that's another interesting one. Common obstacles. Key question. Well, I'm stalling for time here, as you can probably tell. Talk amongst yourselves. It's a key question, and there's a number of considerations. And let me kind of just brainstorm. But it really boils down to real expertise and understanding the core principles. I talked a number of times flexibility and speed. This is a dynamic solution we're talking about here. The core principle of flexibility and speed are crucial. And hard, picking up on the point about expertise. In truth, there aren't many conversational AI experts in the world. There aren't. It's a burgeoning new sector, but it's really easy, and it's a tough one for customers. I can see it. It's really easy to fake to be one. For example, guys, I'm no expert. What I do say is that I have a team of people, 10 years plus, around me all day, every day, working out these problems. But it's a huge problem in the sector, a huge problem for customers, and I see it being played out, unfortunately, daily. The answer, in my mind, Howard, and if I may share, go to organizations who specialize in this domain. There are many players in the market who are doing.
No, keep going, keep going. I was just
Yeah. They specialize, real world experience, and understand the speed. Again, speed is fundamental to success. Now, if you can't rapidly iterate, you'll fail.
Okay. No, good answer. And a follow-up question from another viewer, another member of our webinar was, what does success look like for conversational AI in a deployment?
Wow. Yeah. Great one. Very open-ended question there, Howard. Thanks to the member of the audience. Really, as highlighted throughout our discussion, though, the key to the success of the platform is all based on the speed and flexibility, and that's in design and deployment of applications. So we're talking about empowering end users. So think about it. So your customers and their end users are developing and scaling their own solutions. There's customer experience and process automation problems are challenges they're facing. But it's constant iteration and constant evolution of strategies. So with that, we recommend this: be prepared to fail fast and often. It's that old adage, get out there, guys, get it happening. That's why the platforms like OneReach are so powerful. As you continually test, reiterate, and prove the success of your strategies and the changing requirements of your business. And that's what's required. But however, let me just pull it all down and kind of say, yeah, it's all good, so it's all relevant. However, I would stress, particularly in line with such dynamically evolving strategies, success needs to be measured and clearly defined business outcomes, again, as we alluded to previously, of KPIs. Performance should be evaluated, and against simple 3 points here, guys: the critical success factors. Are we delivering better customer service? Have we got more engaged workforce? And is there improved operations, and how are we measuring that? That's the net in my mind, Howard, in terms of success.
Good. Yeah, success, often you got to go through failure first, fail fast and often. That's a great one. I like to say fail better next time.
Well, no, I love that.
Every failure is just a learning opportunity. I mean, it's crucial, and it also goes back to the point of, start small and move rapidly. Okay,
better.
fail better next time. It comes from a TV show. I'll tell you the name of it later offline. Let's go to a question that we got from Allison. So Allison asks, why is conversational AI so important now? It seems like a hot topic.
Paul, Allison, you're right on the money. Right on the money. It's that hot potato at this point. I'm not sure that translates to the States, but
it does totally. Yeah.
Cool. One that I've come across recently is belt and suspenders, which doesn't really translate the other side.
Oh no, we use that one too, especially.
I know, but doesn't belt and suspenders in Europe doesn't quite work. When I hear my US colleagues talk about belt and suspenders, they go, please don't do that. But yeah, we could go on that one. But Alice, hot topic. As had during our earlier questions, there is a real clear change in the market. definitely changing, and as I mentioned, rapidly so in the last couple of years, and particularly, conversational AI is becoming hot, and there are a couple of reasons, really, in my mind, and in terms of the experience we have. And firstly, I would say it's the advancement in the conversational AI capabilities in recent years. And if I may, Howard, again, a bit of a plug, but we're very proud of the fact that we're one of the forerunners. CS 2.0 is actually our second iteration of the platform. It only came out in 2016. We pretty much scrapped 1.0 in 2014 and launched 2.0 in 2016. And that's when Gartner picked it up and said, oh, watch out for these guys. And we became market leaders in 19 and 20. But really, as platforms like ours are really becoming powerful, companies are starting to see the potential in conversational AI as the means of keeping themselves competitively ahead. Secondly, and it's an unfortunate point I'm going to share here, but in other cases, we're seeing an ever-increasing numbers of companies that are struggling as they start to realize that the vendor or the solution they started with in the last few years can't scale with them. So if you remember how I talked about ensuring that tools to build chatbots cannot create virtual assistants, we do come across that they haven't future-proofed their strategy and they're starting to struggle to scale. And it's impacting on most of the marketplace, actually, but it's evident at two ends of the market spectrum. It's your early adopters, organizations that are struggling to scale. And I'm including some of the major Fortune 500 brands here, Howard. And secondly, the sectors that traditionally slowed with the uptake. And I'm, again, alluding, if I may remind you, the financial services, your telecoms and healthcare providers, they're now starting to realize, there's huge potential here. So that's really why, in our mind, it's becoming such a hot topic.
Okay. No, thanks for that. Hey, let's do one last question we got from the audience. I want to be respectful of time. We usually try and wrap these things up in 45 minutes. Let's try and wrap it up in two or three. But the last question maybe we could address is Richard asks, can you talk about the market dynamics between AI adoption comparing enterprise? And I'm sure he's meaning like larger companies or mid-sized companies, and then small to medium enterprises, smaller companies. So deploying AI, conversational AI, large companies, small companies, what are the differences in the different kind of market dynamics that you've seen, Paul?
Yeah, brilliant question, Richard. In simple terms, what I would say, there isn't any. What I would recommend strongly is that you consider your strategy. Are you doing what I call a horizontal strategy, i.e. across your organization, and that tends to be larger organizations. So you're looking at HR, you're looking at finance, you're looking at your sales, your marketing, and so on, your IT help desk. So you're going across the organization, and that's effective. Bear in mind, with the likes of OneReach platform, we have that scale and we have that scope. Alternatively, Howard, you could go vertical, so you could pick one topic, and one key area for us is the likes of your ITSM help desk, and you go deep into that. So you go deep into the actual vertical capability. So you can be a small organization, but going quite deep into its capability. So the bot or the conversational AI capability delivers real end-to-end solutions at a deep level. Does that make sense, Howard?
Makes sense to me. I hope it makes sense to Richard, but I'm sure it makes sense to our audience. I appreciate it, and appreciate you, Paul. So thank you so much for joining us today. I think that was a lot. That was a lot of insight, a lot of knowledge, a lot of good conversation. And maybe we can do this again sometime. We'll give people a break from us, but we can get back together in a year or something like that and talk about where conversational is at then. So again, thank you so much. For everyone else, we do these Valenta Insider Series webinars very often. We change the topics up. Hopefully they're informative to our audience. Please, be on the lookout for our next edition. Thank you so much for joining us today. Talk to you soon.
Thanks, Howard. Thanks, Amanda. Thanks all.
Bye. See you guys.